As of the time of recording this, our current Model Y and our previous Model 3 have by far been the best cars that we've ever owned. Nothing else even comes close. And the reason nothing else comes close is because thanks to software updates, these cars just keep getting better. Since we got a Tesla, we've gained so many new features that a regular person would assume that we've upgraded to a newer model, let alone that all of these features have come via free software updates. In fact, the most liked video about a Tesla on TikTok is this one, where the Model 3 door handle gets frozen over and they can't get into the car. Do you know what Tesla did? They listened to that feedback and then they updated the app, and now there's a button to just unlatch the door. Do a software update. That's kind of amazing. And people ask me all the time, what electric car would I get if not a Tesla? And in my mind, there's petrol cars, there's electric cars, and then there's Tesla. They're in a whole nother category. While they are quite literally changing the world, there's still quite a few simple things that they haven't got right with the cars. Most of these things will be fixed with future software updates, but some of these things are also hardware related. So I'm going to start with 5 things that I feel really do need to change, and then I'm going to move to some smaller details that would be nice if they could change them as well. And as always, please feel free to add your thoughts below in the comments if you've got any more to add. I'm sure there's probably a few things that I've missed. Okay, so number 1 is really simple, but let's get it out the way. Better floor mats. The ones that Tesla give you are, quite frankly, not up to scratch when it comes to cars in this price point. They feel a bit cheap, flimsy, unremarkable, and they're not designed to the level that the rest of the car is. Now, of course, as with all things Tesla, there's many third-party options where you can go out and get much better floor mats, but it would be nice at this price point to see Tesla include even just some branded floor mats, like with a Tesla T on them or something like that would be nice. Number 2 really pains me because recently we went on a road trip and discovered this firsthand, and that is that the white paint that I can speak to specifically, because we've had the 3 and the Y, is not good enough. It's too thin, and any sort of stone that hits the front of your car is going to result in quite a big stone chip. For example, we look at our Mazda CX-5, many road trips, many highways, country roads, and stone chips aren't really a thing on that car. So the white paint that Tesla is using, which is obviously the free option when you are buying a Model Y or 3, is a little bit thin, and it looks great when it's clean, but I think some sort of paint protection film, if Tesla offered a PPF when you were going through the checkout process, that would be unreal. But to summarize this, the paint is just not good enough for a car in this price bracket. I do think that the white option needs multiple more layers, or it just needs to be improved. I'm not a paint expert, but I've had a lot of different cars, and the 3 and the Y in the white have both been issues with stone chips, minor scratches. It just feels really thin and sort of on the cheaper side. Even though it looks amazing, it still feels not good enough. Now, I do need to jump in here and just clarify, this is my personal experience. However, doing some more research online, multiple people have done tests on the Shanghai Model 3s and Ys and found that the paint is just as thick as any other car brand in this price bracket. It's not overly thin, it's not a poor quality. Maybe I've just been unlucky. Maybe because there's no grille at the front of the Model 3, you notice the stone chips more. Yeah, these videos are so hard because I am being critical, but it is a personal experience, and there's no evidence apart from my own experience. However, when you look online, clearly people think that the paint is absolutely fine in the Teslas. So keep that in your mind as well. Number 3, which I spoke about in my nighttime video recently, is that we're eagerly awaiting Tesla to bring out the software update for the Matrix LED headlights to unlock all of those features where your auto high beams are going to turn off in certain sections to not blind oncoming traffic. The hardware is in the car, but we're yet to see the software update. And as you know, you need auto high beams on in order for autopilot to work at nighttime or in darker, low lit conditions. And so this is actually like a bit of an issue. You know, for us, we use autopilot all the time, especially in the country. We know that Tesla do incredible software. We've seen it with the full self-driving beta in the States at the moment. It's like so far, I would say 10 years ahead of anyone else. It's just about turning their attention to something small like the auto high beams, and we can get that resolved hopefully by the end of this year. Number 4 is something that I would imagine a lot of other owners feel, and that is the lack of Apple Music support. You get Spotify built into the car, but there's no support for Apple Music, which is one of the biggest streaming platforms. Yes, using your Bluetooth is fine, and we often use Siri in order to play albums and songs, but just having Apple Music integration in the car, I feel like is a must in 2022. A lot of people assume that the Teslas come with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They don't. Tesla do an amazing job of building all of their software themselves, and so I can see that they don't want to or need to rely on those other in-car systems. But when it comes to like apps, I think Apple Music definitely needs to be there. Hopefully Tesla go forward with releasing their own app store, and so developers can start to build apps for the car. I think that would be really cool. And number 5, in 2022, I feel like all Model 3s and Model Ys should be shipping with an automatic frunk. The frunk is a great space, especially in the Y being even deeper than the 3. It's a space that we use all the time for grocery shopping and firewood and all sorts of things. Hot takeaway food goes in the frunk. And I know they're trying to save money and keep costs down. I can understand all of that. But when competitors are having these features in a cheaper entry-level price point, that's very evident that Tesla needs to also include that in their cars. So they're my top 5 most important things that I feel need to change. Let me know if you agree with those in the comments. We've got better floor mats, better paint, especially the white, auto high beams, and that matrix technology needs to be improved, Apple Music integration, and an automated frunk. Now, I wanted to get into some of the smaller details that I've noticed since owning the Model Y and driving the Model 3 for almost 20,000 kilometers. Number 1, on a personal level, and a lot of other dog owners will agree, can we please make some changes to dog mode? Most importantly, if possible, would be to be able to access the in-cabin camera when your dogs are in the car and you've got dog mode on. Can the Sentry mode still be enabled while we've got dog mode on? That would be great. How bright the dog mode screen is in the car, especially at nighttime. I spoke about this in my previous video. And I mean, I know I'm sounding nitpicky because there's really no other car on the market that even has a dog mode. But I just feel like that Tesla is a software company, they can make these changes. It would be great to see some of these updates come. And I have no doubt that in the future, some of these things will happen. Another thing I want to add into the mix is vehicle to grid. And this is something I featured on my TikTok recently when we had a power outage here in Trentham. We've got this massive battery sitting in the car. It was charged to 100%. We couldn't use it to power the house. And you know that the Ford F-150 Lightning, some of these other electric cars that are coming on the market, offer vehicle to grid. In the instance of a blackout, you can use your car battery to power your home. That is such an amazing feature. And this massive battery in the Model Y is equivalent to more than 4 Tesla Powerwalls. So maybe Tesla are not doing it for a very specific reason. Maybe it's going to ruin the health of the battery, or there's safety concerns. My question is, why are other automakers bringing this feature out and there's no word from Tesla? Is the hardware in the car already to support this, but they just haven't released the software? So many questions, but just from, I'm not an engineer. It would just be nice to be able to utilize that battery in some capacity when there is a power outage. Something we struggled with when we first got our Model 3 was that all the chargers that show up on the map inside the car are all Tesla superchargers or destination chargers. There's no indication of any of the third-party chargers. So you need to download third-party apps like PlugShare and like Better Route Planner, which I feel in this day and age, I mean, everyone's switching to electric cars. Tesla is by far the biggest selling electric car in this country. So I feel we need to do everyone a favor by including third-party charging networks on the map. They can be a different color, they can be less obvious. We all know that Tesla supercharging is going to be the most preferable, best option for all Tesla drivers anyway, but EV networks, ChargeFox, all of those other networks I feel should be showing up on the map. Another one is improved speed limit recognition, especially on Monash Freeway. You've got those digital speed signs on a lot of freeways in Melbourne and in the UK, and the Tesla has no idea how to read those, which actually can be problematic when you're using cruise control and autopilot, because the car assumes the speed limit's 100 when it's 80 and it goes to accelerate, and it's never fun. So digital speed sign recognition on highways is something that I hope comes to the cars in the next month or so. Sorry, I had to move to the shade. It was getting a little bit hot in the sun. Something that I've seen on Twitter a lot is a lot of people wanting that top-down 360 view. We know that Teslas have the cameras to be able to do it. It's just about bringing out the software that creates that bird's eye view of, like, when you're reversing, you can kind of see all the elements around your car. This is very common in Mercedes and BMW. So yeah, it's not something that I really feel like I need, because the reversing cameras are so big anyway. But I guess it would be nice to have that option. It might be something that I really like using once I get used to it. But yeah, a lot of owners are requesting that online. One thing that's hardware related that I would love to see included in new 2023 Model Ys and 3s is a light around or near the charge port. What you'll find, like I do, is you're plugging in the car most of the time at night in the dark, and I just find I'm having to get my phone out all the time to see where the charge port is. I know the S and the X in the past have had a ring around the charging port, which makes it super easy to plug in at night. I think there just needs to be some sort of little LED light to be able to see what you're doing when plugging in at nighttime. There's two more things that I want to mention. The first one is basic summon. I feel like should be included in the car. You shouldn't have to pay for enhanced autopilot or FSD to just be able to reverse the car out of the garage. Again, we're seeing this in a lot of other cars in this price bracket, where they will just, by holding down something or using an app, they're going to reverse or go forward into a garage. So really good for tight parking spots. I would love to see Tesla include basic summon features in the car as standard. And the very last one, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this, in the US, I believe every Tesla makes a sound when it's reversing. Here in Australia, when you're reversing a Tesla, it is completely silent. There is no noise at all. You do have to be extra cautious, especially in parking lots. We've had multiple occasions where people have walked in front or behind of the car just because it is that quiet. I guess if I had to choose, I think it's going to be a lot safer to have, a sound emitting from the rear of the car when they are reversing. I'm not sure why that's not legislated here in Australia. I'm sure it probably will be soon, and Tesla will probably push out an update. I just don't want it to be, like an accident takes place and it makes the news and then Tesla brings out the feature. I just wonder, maybe we should have that already. Yeah, it's a tough one. There's a few other little points that I'll just touch on. I'm not going to go into detail. If you buy the $10,000 FSD, should that be saved to the car or should it be saved to your account? A lot of people believe it should be saved to your account. So when you go and buy a new Tesla, you've got FSD on that as well. You do find on the secondhand market that FSD value is not really factored in. Like, people try to get an extra 10 grand for their car, but the secondhand market don't necessarily want to pay that. So you definitely lose a lot of money as it currently stands with FSD. Potentially a sunroof shade for the Model Y and the 3, given they've got all that class. It's not a massive issue that we've noticed. You do definitely feel some radiant heat on a hot sunny day. So maybe it is something Tesla should include, like a nice discreet little light sunshade that can come across on those really hot days. Preconditioning the battery for non-Tesla chargers, it would be good if there was an option to do this. One trick I've found is to put in navigation for a supercharger. If you're going to a third-party charger, the car will start to precondition. But yeah, it'd be good if there was a button for that, because it does result in a faster charging experience. And the last one I've got here is the Gemini wheels on the Model Y. 99% of the people I've spoken to are not a fan of the Gemini wheels, and I think it's that silver. We've seen people spray paint them, we've seen people go to third-party options. I do think that Tesla probably could have done a better job of making those Gemini wheels a bit more appealing. I had heard that the upgrade from Gemini to induction was significant on the Model Y, whereas on the 3, a lot of people were happy just to keep the aeros. We had no plans of upgrading to a 20-inch wheel until we saw the look of the Geminis. Yeah, they really don't do it for me, unfortunately. Anyway, that is a full wish list of things that I would love Tesla to improve, whether it's software, mostly software, and some hardware things in upcoming models. As we know, Tesla just improved the cars as they're coming out of the factory. This is not a video to be negative about Tesla. This is just in the hope that there can be some future updates that make it even better than anything else on the road. Hope you guys found this video interesting, and I will catch you soon in another one. All right, see ya.